Arabica coffee is widely considered to be better tasting than its only real rival, Robusta. The problem is it just can't take the heat. It's predicted that global warming could cut Arabica production in half by the middle of this century. So enter stenophylla, a long-forgotten coffee bean that was rediscovered in 2018. It tastes like Arabica and has a much higher heat tolerance. Stenophylla has been found growing in temperatures as high as 48 degrees Celsius, twice as hot as Arabica can tolerate. The only problem is that plant is only found in parts of West Africa. Well, Aaron Davis from Kew Gardens in London was part of the team that rediscovered stenophylla growing in the wild in Sierra Leone.
We were looking for stenophylla coffee because it has a great flavour. We thought that it might be extinct in the wild, but in 2018 we managed to relocate it in 2 forests in Sierra Leone.
And so what? I mean, if you're not a botanist, why is this so significant? What is so special about this species?
The 2 really special things about stenophylla coffee: firstly, it's incredibly heat tolerant. It's much more heat tolerant than Arabica coffee and slightly more heat tolerant than Robusta coffee. It's also more drought tolerant than Robusta coffee. So it has these climate resiliency characteristics we're looking for, but equally important, it has a wonderful flavour, which is, of course, so important for coffee drinkers.
West African coffee growers are, of course, under enormous pressure because of changing climate and the threat that poses to their current crop. Will this make a difference to farmers like that around the world?
Yes, I mean, that's very true. I think coffee farmers on every coffee-producing continent are having issues with climate change and weather-related issues. This coffee is one of a range of species that we're looking at, which we hope to develop into climate-resilient options for coffee farmers. So, yes, it could be very important.
Now, you talk about this species being resistant to heat and high heat. Climate change is obviously bringing about unprecedented rainfall, and I wonder what impact this is having on coffee crops.
That's a great question. So what we're seeing is that in many cases extreme heat and drought is influencing coffee production in a negative way. But on the flip side, you can also have too much rain, and that can influence coffee. Firstly, because the heavy showers strip the coffee of its flowers, and secondly, because if your soil is too waterlogged, that will also influence production.
The world seems to be pretty heavily reliant, if I understand it, on 2 types of coffee. Should we be diversifying a little bit more and not so dependent?
That's our real objective here at Kew, and the work that we do with collaborators across the coffee belt. We do rely on 2 species, Arabica and Robusta coffee, but in order to adapt the coffee sector to climate change, we will need to diversify the crop portfolio, i.e. the number of species that we grow, to give farmers more options as the climate changes.
We've talked about coffee a lot. I wonder what the implications here are for other crops around the world, which are also going to struggle with climate change.
So I think many look at coffee as the canary in the coal mine, as the litmus for climate change, particularly for woody crops like coffee, cocoa, tea, wine, crops that have to stay in the ground a long time. And what we're seeing is that the issues facing coffee also affect many other woody perennial crops, and but they will also, of course, affect many other crops that we rely on.